So hello everyone, let's start with today's lecture, the first lecture for the essay sessions. See, essay is not about just learning few things, it's kind of a workshop wherein you have to put your efforts. And this paper, it's one of the most neglected section as far as I have observed. Many students, they don't even prepare anything for essay. Although it's possible that you can write a good essay with the content that you have studied from your GS or your optional paper. But the point is, writing an essay in itself is a kind of art. And the problem is, people try to write it the way they are writing their GS papers. So in GS 1, 2, 3, whatever you have studied, you'll just put on each and every dimension, you'll just put on the argument, example, etc., etc. As far as your knowledge is concerned, if we try to check your knowledge, if we try to check the diversity of your knowledge, or can you bring in more dimensions, can you bring in more examples, all that thing you are doing in your GS papers. But when it comes to essay paper, your content is important. But more than your content, what matters is the reader interested in reading your essay? When I'm reading your essay, if I don't find it interesting enough, then it's useless. Even if you have brought such a really good content, very enriched content, you have brought so many quotes, very good arguments, very good examples, everything is there. But there is no proper flow in the essay. When I start reading, just after reading 2-3 lines or just one paragraph, I'm not finding it interesting enough. Then you are not doing really good in the essay. So the point is, just like movies, see, there are many movies, they have got really good content, they have got good story, they are giving a good, what we call as a meaningful or some kind of a statement, they're giving us good lessons, life lessons. They have a really good person, a very charismatic actor working in that movie, everything is there, still the movie flops. Why? Because people don't feel that they are getting entertainment from this movie. Entertainment matters, and the same thing will be applicable when it comes to essay paper. Okay, so most important thing is to look at essay paper as an art, because it is art. Many people, they will try to make it science. They'll come up with a formula, use this pestle approach, go and use this pestle approach and just write it down just like you're writing any other GS answer. Any particular template is not going to really work in the essay paper. It's a complete blank canvas where you have to show your creative element, the way you express, show your expression, show your communication skill on the paper. Okay, so it's going to be very interesting. Now, first of all, total 250 marks paper. How much can you score in this paper? So this is where I call this paper as game changer. Because I have personally observed many students, because in the first stage, the major mistake that they make is interpreting the essay in a wrong way, or writing without any particular flow. There are no coherence, there's no coherence in the ideas, there's no flow, or they're just putting examples, putting they're coming up with so many examples to showcase their knowledge. So what happens is, they're not in a position to score really good. Some students, they get 70, 80 also, or average around 100. That's not a good score at all. But there are students who are scoring 125 plus 130, or maybe even more than 130. So if you read their essays, you'll get to know that they're building, they're coming up with some natural tendency to write, and a reader will find the essay in a flow. It's not like they have some different content altogether. Those who are scoring 125 above, 130 above, it's not like they have something different with them as far as content is concerned. It's the same content that they are using, but the way they are expressing it, that matters in this particular paper. So one thing as far as the competition is concerned, because essay is going to be your first paper, and that is going to set the tone for all other papers. If you have written in a good manner, on, let's say on Friday you're giving this paper and you feel that you have done decent, then you will remain confident enough to write other papers. Otherwise, If you have messed up with the essay paper, maybe many students lose their hope from the mains. And what you have to write is 1200 words on one particular quote or one particular theme. Now there many people find it difficult because they think that they don't have enough content with them. For GS, whatever we study, the content is not enough. It's not like content is not enough. It's about writing the same stuff but in a manner which brings some narration. And this narration involves you to say the thing in a manner wherein people will find it interesting, as well as it doesn't cross word limit to make the reader bored. Many times what we do is, if we have one argument, because we have this word limit, we have to write till 1200 words, so we'll just try to elaborate it, and we elaborate so much that the reader will find it very boring. So somewhere we have to bring in that balance. That's why I'm calling it art. Now if it is art, can you learn it? Especially, can you learn it within a very short span of time? So as far as art is concerned, you can't learn it in very short span of time. It takes a lot of efforts as well as time. But at least at whatever stage you are right now, you can improve substantially with these lectures, whatever I'll be discussing as far as the introduction part is concerned, flow is concerned, structuring is concerned, brainstorming is concerned. All these things, if you just understand and try to inculcate, try to use that, then you can substantially increase your marks. This is for sure. But as far as art is concerned, then to become an artist, it certainly takes time, efforts, everything is needed. Okay? So, the main paper. Now first of all, just the basic part, why this paper was introduced, so that you get an idea about what you're supposed to do in this paper, what they're exactly looking for, what they're checking when they are giving you an essay, what UPSC is exactly checking. First thing, you look at civil servants. If we are taking the GS papers, GS 1, 2, 3, 4 or even optional, you've studied something and you're vomiting the same content, using it some or the other way. It's the same paper which everyone is writing. You see the difference. In essay paper, you have got choice. There are 4 different quotes you can choose. In GS paper, you don't have that choice. The reason being, they're checking something else when it comes to GS papers. They're checking your analysis. They're checking your knowledge part, the diversity of content. These things are getting checked. Whereas, in case of essay paper, they look at civil servants as human beings and not machines. You look at, even if you take ChatGPT and all, ChatGPT might write better GS answers than you. But I guarantee ChatGPT is not necessarily in a position to write better essays than you. You people can write better essays because of your creativity, because of your language skill. Okay, the way you mold the language, the way you say something, that matters a lot. Now, as far as these essays are concerned, what UPSC is checking? First thing, they are checking your language skill. Are you able to put whatever you think in a manner which anyone will find interesting and anyone will understand? And most importantly, whatever is your argument, whatever is your thought process, can you convey the same meaning as it is to the other side? You know, that's where many people are not in a position to do. They know many things, but they don't know how to say it. They don't know how to say it. That's why many people say, no, I don't know. You need to learn how to say it out. Okay. Now, first thing, they will check, are you a person whose imagination skill or whose imagination is broad, or you don't even imagine? See, here that creative element comes into picture. Creative element. Can you be creative? Can you come up with something new? When an essay quote is given and they are expecting you to interpret it. See, it's not necessary that the quote which is given, you have read about this quote. already. It's not possible. Or maybe there is very rare chance that you must have read about it. Some philosophers must have said something. And now you are trying to interpret it on your own. That shows, first of all, your introspection. Secondly, there comes your creativity. Now, when you are expressing, how do you express? Do you come up with some new ideas? How do you think? Whether you think in a random manner or there is a structure, all these things will come out when you will write these essays. Okay, so one dimension is your imaginative dimension. That will be checked, especially when it comes to those philosophical essays. Philosophical or the abstract essays. There this role of imaginative thought process, that becomes very important. Then some essays will be analytical in nature. So there will be some essays. For example, if I have any example, for example, look at this. Tourism, can this be the next big thing for India? Or let's say this one, has the non-alignment movement lost its relevance in multipolar world? Now you will say, sir, this is a question from IR. Yes, it's a question from IR, obviously. But this kind of essay just requires analysis. You have to break this entire essay to come up with different dimensions, and you have to discuss holistically. So somewhere your analytical skill will be checked very well. And most importantly, your linguistic skill. I've seen some students, they're not scoring really good as such in GS 1, 2, 3 or even 4. They are average. But when it comes to essay, they're scoring really high. They're scoring somewhere near to 130. How is it possible? A student who hasn't prepared really well for mains, that's the reason he's not able to score really good in other GS papers. There he's scoring, let's say, 90, 95 max, not more than that. But in essay paper, he's scoring around 130. You know, even top AIR rank, they even find it difficult sometimes to get this score. Why this is happening? This is simply happening because of this linguistic skill. It is possible that you have very less content available as compared to any other student. But you know how to express it. You know how to write in a very good flow. The reader is going to enjoy, just like a movie. When you're watching, you find it so interesting that you're not ready to go here and there. You're not ready to listen to your mother also. You're just concentrating on this movie. So that kind of art you can show with your language skill. And when I say language skill or linguistic skill, it doesn't mean you have to use very flowery language as such. If you're using flowery language, that's good, not a problem. But it is not the benchmark. It is not a standard as such. If you can write in the simplest language, the simple plain English, the language that I'm speaking right now, the simple plain English, if you can write in this manner, that is much better. So it is said that saying something in a complex language, making things complex, is not that tough. It's not going to show your real wisdom as such, or what a wise person he is. He's saying something very complex, I'm not even able to understand. No. The tough thing is to say the same thing in the simplest form which anyone can understand. When I'm saying anyone, it simply means anyone. So if you have written an essay, you can show it to anyone. Anyone who can decently read and understand things, comprehend things. Your friends, your parents, anyone. And if they are finding it interesting to read, then your job is done. Okay, then your job is done. Maybe your friends or your parents, they might not find your GS answers that interesting enough to read. Because anyway, there is no flow in our GS answers most of the times. We just break the flow. We just focus on putting as much content as possible. Point number 1, this. Point number 2, this. So this is not going to happen in essays. Okay, so I'm focusing on this aspect again and again. The linguistic skill matters, and the only way to develop this linguistic skill is to read more and write more. Unless you do these two activities, this is not going to get developed. Now because we are preparing for the mains 2025, we don't have enough time. I suggest what you need to do is, one, read something not related to UPSC, hardly just one page, 100, 200 verse, 250 pages from a novel, from any other book, just for the sake of reading. Okay, hardly it will take 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I think that much time you can anyway allocate to this part. You will observe, if you do this every single day, let's say you do it for next 2 months, you will observe there will be some change in the way you express things, you write down the things. Okay, that's reading part. Second is the writing part, the output part. Here you need to make efforts. You have to write essays multiple times. You have to keep on writing. Then you will understand that after this paragraph, I'm starting with something else and there is no flow. There's an abrupt paragraph which is getting started over here. Let's say, for example, I'm saying, I am going to Ramesh's home. Right? First sentence. Then, after reaching there, I found that Ramesh was eating. You see, there is a flow in these two sentences. The first sentence, wherever it ends, second sentence starts from there. So, there is a flow. Okay. So, reader will find it interesting because the flow is maintained. So, he will keep on reading it. Instead of that, if I write like this, I went to Ramesh's home and sorry, not like this. I can write like this. I wanted to go home. Then Ramesh was eating. There is no connection. Okay, I'm trying to say the same thing, although connection, that linkage, that flow, which might be missing. So while you people will be writing, you people will make those mistakes, but by writing again and again, you have to improve that part. Okay, when I'll discuss some essays, there I'll tell you all those things, linkages and all those things. One by one, we will reach to each point. Introduction part, the structuring part, brainstorming part, then the conclusion part, all that we will discuss separately. Okay, now you're given 4 options. 4 essay topics are given and you have to choose one out of these 4. Why so? When GS papers are giving you no other option but to write whatever is given. Everyone is writing the same paper. In case of essay, why are they giving you that option to choose? They are giving you that choice, right? That you can choose whether you want to write this essay or that essay. Why? Any idea? Can anyone tell me this? Why? Yes, Darshan? Gauri? Because if you understand the objective, then you will have a clear-cut idea about writing essays. That's very basic actually. No idea? To check how much we know about ourselves, like topic in which I write that I will choose. Okay. So how much we know about ourselves? That's a good point. That's a very valid point. So see, how UPSC is looking at things. Anyway, they are checking many skills through your different papers. Essay is a paper which I can call it as nothing but your interview or your personality test, that too in a written form, and here you can control, you can decide the flow of this interview. See, in the interview, you will hardly have choice to choose questions. They will keep on asking questions. Here, you can choose a particular question and you can show your strength. So, if there are four topics given, let's say these are the 4. First is, thinking is like a game. It does not begin unless there is an opposite team. I repeat, thinking is like a game. It does not begin unless there is an opposite team. So the core theme is thinking. How interesting, you have to think about thinking. No problem. So one theme asking on the idea of thinking. Whereas you have second one in the same paper. Visionary decision making happens at the intersection of intuition and logic. Very interesting. So they are talking about decision making. A person who is a very visionary one, who's taking decisions which have good consequences in the long term, that too on most of the people. So they have a very broad vision, we call it. So if a person who is a visionary decision maker, how he thinks, how he makes decision, how he reaches to that particular decision, through logic or through intuition. So here the core idea is decision making. Right? Now look at the third one. Not all who wander are lost. It seems all are philosophical. Even if you're not able to comprehend right now, just don't worry. I'll tell you. We'll discuss few of these essays so that you will get an idea how we deconstruct and understand the meaning or interpret essays. Now just understand, not all who wander are lost. So they're actually talking about people who are wandering and people who get lost. Lost means those people who are considered as failure. They fail. Or some people who are wandering, moving from one part to the other. So here what I feel, the final thing is, it's about your purpose or aim that is being discussed in this particular theme. Whereas the fourth one, inspiration for creativity springs from the efforts to look for the magical in the mundane. This is way tougher for anyone to understand. In case you're not able to comprehend the essay from whatever is mentioned in English, go for the Hindi translation. Maybe that might help you sometimes. So what it says, रचनात्मकता की प्रेरणा लौकिकता में चमत्कार ढूंढने के प्रयास से उपजती है. This seems way more tougher. Read again in English, that's better. So inspiration for creativity, okay, springs from the effort to look for the magical in the mundane. So overall here the idea is about the creativity and from where it exactly emerges. Right? Now see, we have four themes: decision making, purpose or aim, thinking, creativity. Right? Now it's not necessary, although I have taken all these four topics which are philosophical. Now what should we do? If UPSC gives one entire section with all the philosophical themes, then we have to be ready for it. Right? Now in this particular case, when you get such different themes, now UPSC is not restricting you to write on just one thing. Maybe there will be one out of all of you who will be writing really good essay on decision making. But that would not be the right way to check the caliber, the potential of each one of you, because only one person has really good content on this part. Maybe you can write better on this thinking part. So what UPSC is expecting, or what UPSC is providing you, a canvas, an open canvas. You choose the topic, you decide it, and then you write it. Show your strength and show your depth. When you are choosing, you have the freedom, then you are choosing the best one which is best for you. And secondly, show your depth. Here they are not checking your breadth but checking your depth. In GS paper they are checking this breadth part, how diverse you can write and all. Here they are interested in your depth. Okay, so that I expect you people to focus on and look at these things in this manner, that even if there are four different themes given, at least there will be one theme for which you will have more content over others. Okay, over others you will have more content, better content, you will have more ideas to elaborate and to discuss. That's where we will focus on. Okay, now in case I have to write this exam, I will personally choose either this essay, visionary decision making happens at the intersection of intuition and logic. Most probably I'll choose this one because I think I can elaborate it better. Or maybe I can choose this one also. Not all who wander are lost, because I've got so many examples, so many dimensions to think about. Now here, I'm being creative. I have lot of scope to become creative and interpret this statement and apply it at different positions. I can bring in examples and thoughts from the history. I can bring in things from my personal life. Many things I can grab over here. Or I can think about this particular theme. Visionary decision making happens at the intersection of intuition and logic. So I can discuss about intuition. I can discuss about logic. You see, why logic doesn't always lead to visionary decision making. I hope you people are aware of what do we mean by intuition and logic. Right? When we think with logic, the reasoning, the conscious mind, mostly we try to take any decision based on our logic. But sometimes there is role of intuition also, gut feeling, right? Gut feeling, we get that. The essay is talking about intersection of these two. Now I can think this way. I can elaborate this essay in detail. I have so much scope to come up with different dimensions. But if I think about those macro dimensions, if I think about the entire essay of 1200 words, what will be the major dimensions that I will be touching? So the first thing will be why logic doesn't always lead to visionary decision making. Because mostly we say that our general perception is to take a good decision, logic is enough. But then logic is not sufficient. Why logic is not sufficient? Why only with logic maybe you will not be a visionary decision maker? I have that dimension to open up and I can write really good part over here. Then why do I need intuition? Why? What are the limitations with logic? That was the one part that I could discuss. Then what good things intuition brings in? That is one part that I can discuss. Then I can discuss why both are needed. So here I reached the same part what author was trying to talk about. I can even talk about dimension wherein one dominates over the other. Means logic dominates, what can happen? Or intuition dominates, then what can happen? I can think about all these dimensions. So I'm just talking about this part wherein if I have to take a decision, a call, wherein I have to choose between these four, what I'll be thinking about. First thing that I'll be thinking about is, do I have good content? And when I say content, I do not just mean examples. I do not just mean examples. It's about the broader dimensions that I'll be touching and how I'll be reaching to that final conclusion. I suggest one more thing to students, that the conclusion, whatever conclusion you have to write in a particular essay, that should be in mind from the very beginning. What most of the students do, they start, let's say they have taken this first essay, they start thinking about introduction. They start thinking about introduction. I'll say, don't waste your time on thinking about introduction in the first stage. Rather, think about the overall content randomly, whatever you think, or whatever you can think about. And if you want to think about something, think about the conclusion. What message you want to give to this reader at the end. Okay, there must be something in your mind that I will teach one particular lesson, one particular message I will teach this particular reader. But to reach this end, you have to build an entire story and bring it to this reader, to this last place, so that he accepts your final argument or final conclusion. So you're writing entire essay actually to show this conclusion to this reader. So your conclusion matters. Conclusion should be there in mind very clearly. So as far as this part is concerned, the conclusion would be both are needed. Intuition and logic, both are needed. That will be my final conclusion. But I'll convince the reader with my entire essay. That's my job. Okay. So first, I'm thinking about that content part wherein To reach to that conclusion, do I have enough substantial content with me? The arguments part, the dimensions part, the core dimensions which I discussed over here, these are the main core dimensions, the macro dimensions you can call it. And in each dimension, then we will come up with different arguments. And different arguments, to substantiate those arguments, we will be writing some good examples. So, if you have substantial content, go for that. Go for that particular essay. This is one thing. But more than that thing, okay, more than even that content part, first when you read, especially in the exam pressure, it happens because it's the first paper. For those who are first timers, they're already in stress, and the first paper, there's a high chance they'll mess up, and there will be immense pressure in the exam hall. So many times what students feel, they're not able to comprehend or interpret what the author is trying to say in this particular essay. That's one problem they face. So one thing, just calm down, read the topic 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, or even 10 times till the time you clearly get the meaning of author. Okay, even there are some methods wherein we break the sentences, we try to find the keywords. I'll discuss that part when I'll discuss few essays, how you can interpret it. But you will give importance to the interpretation. If you can interpret a particular essay rightly, then the chances of scoring good are there. But the problem is, if you interpret in a wrong manner, even if you write a really good essay with very good content, good flow, everything is there, but the interpretation either is wrong or is deviated from the core theme. In that case, whether you write a good essay or not doesn't matter. You are not going to score really well as such. Okay, so keep this thing in mind, interpretation and the content. These are the 2 things that we should keep in mind while selecting or choosing the right essay for you. Is this clear? Any doubt till now? Okay. Now see, there are 2 kinds of essays that we observe in this paper. One would be a concrete kind of essay where mostly you will be doing some kind of analysis. So as I already discussed about this part, has the non-alignment movement lost its relevance in the multipolar world from 2017? You see this one. Is sting operation an invasion on privacy? Now throughout the preparation, most of the students, what they maximum know is what is sting operation. They understand that, they have decent idea about privacy and privacy rights or the fundamental right, Article 21 and all. So you people have basic idea. That idea part is enough to write this. Is sting operation invasion on privacy? Even if you do not know the real provisions related to sting operation, they are not asking you to describe. Please understand, many students, what they do is they write descriptive essays. So I'm telling you whatever common mistakes everyone is doing, because I've seen many copies wherein students keep on repeating some kind of mistakes. So what many students they do, they write descriptive essays. Descriptive means they'll just discuss this side, this side, this side, end. If we wanted to check your knowledge, we would have checked that in the GS papers. Why are we even giving you essay paper? It's not to just come up with that descriptive kind of information. We will be interested in ideas. Ideas. If you can be creative, I talked about that imaginary part, your imagination part. Here you can use that imagination part and think about this dimension. Is sting operation invasion on privacy? If yes, that dimension you can certainly reflect on. If no, why no? Why sometimes you need to go for it? Now you can come up with different arguments, right? So although we call this kind of essay as the concrete essay. Okay, another one, water disputes between states in federal India. Again, it seems GS2, polity, governance, right? Water disputes between states in federal India. Now, again, a very concrete essay. You have the complete clarity on the topic. Nobody will be confused after reading this theme. or you read any of these themes. Tourism, can this be the next big thing for India? Is there any confusion? Is there any doubt when you read this theme? No doubt. Here, the interpretation will not differ a lot, or rather there won't be much difference in the interpretation among all the students because the theme itself is very concrete. But we have these themes which we call as abstract or philosophical. Now read this abstract theme. Youth is a blunder. Youth is a blunder. Manhood a struggle. Old age a regret. Now what you people can think about this particular essay? Although it's abstract but not that tough to comprehend. Tell me what you understand by this. Just even if you can give me 1 or 2 keywords on this, or think about anything. Yes? Why youth is blunder? If you can tell me just one part. Youth is blunder. What do you see? What kind of blunder do you see when it comes to youth? Anything that you can think in a random manner. Ambition over reason. Okay. What else? Not just ambition, rather the passion part or the appetite part or the emotional part. It is said about youth that they lack the knowledge. They lack the knowledge. They have got enough energy, but they lack the knowledge, right? They may go on any path, and most probably they'll go on the wrong path. They'll do hell lot of horrible mistakes in life. That's why old people, they keep on telling, don't do this, don't do this. All the youth will not listen. Youth seems to be rebellious. Even if you tell them that this is the right thing, they'll not listen. Right? So, youth seems to be a blunder. See, it's not like author will be giving you a very broad perspective. Sometimes essay quote will be very narrow because that is written in a particular context, and we don't expect you to be that narrow-minded person. We don't expect that. So you may discuss youth is blunder dimension, but you can also discuss the good dimension about youth. Don't, just because author has said youth is blunder, that doesn't mean you will have to say it. Okay. Then manhood is a struggle. That anyway you people can understand. After you get into the age where we are calling as manhood, after 25, 26 or 30, let's say, when you try to settle down, you know, you're not in your youth stage, but you have become adult enough, or you have got many responsibilities. So you have struggle. And then old age is a regret. Right? Many people in this particular age, what they have is just regret about life. I wish I could have done that. I had that option. I didn't choose that option. I chose this one. And the entire life, it has just kept on moving. So they have a lot of regret. So the point is, overall, are you able to comprehend? Even if we are not getting into the details right now, just are you able to comprehend? Yes. Basically, we are just taking the meaning of each term and try to relate. Now, this is an abstract essay, but a relatively easier one, I find. Relatively very easy. Because here the comprehension is not that difficult, interpretation is not that difficult. Now, look at another one. Truth is lived, not taught. Truth is lived, not taught. Now, what do you understand by this? Yes? When it is being said that truth is lived, you have to live it and not just teach it. What do you mean by this? So this seems somewhat it matches with our GS4 ethics part. Somewhat we get content from ethics part. Now there is a possibility many students they might find this as a topic difficult. If you feel that you do not have enough content, don't attempt it. Simple, the practical advice that I am giving you. Okay. Although we'll discuss how we can open up those essays also. In case there is no other option, still you can write a decent essay or a good one. Okay. So experience is best teacher than books. Experience is best teacher than books. No, that won't be the right thing. Means, okay, one interpretation I can call it. One other way would be to look at it this way. Truth has to be lived. A person has to live that truth and not just preach others. Some people, what they do is they just keep on giving the knowledge to others, and they don't set an example. If you want others to learn from you something, don't preach them, don't teach them. You live by that example. You do that particular action. If you're telling, you're a manager, you're telling others that you should come on time, you should be punctual. Don't teach. You come on time. You every day come on time. Automatically others will learn. So here truth is lived, not taught. Your idea could also be used over here, that experience is the best teacher. Okay, but can you understand how we are interpreting? Right? We are interpreting. Now, other one, with greater power comes greater responsibility. Very easy, I'll say. If you're getting such essay themes, they are very easy to write. You may be confused as in what all we should write in this. We can discuss about the responsibility, we can discuss about power. There is possibility many people will get deviated. They'll start talking about power a lot because they have studied in their optional or something, let's say PSI or optional. Many students study about the power, so they keep on writing about only power. That's not the way. Here what they are talking about, you have to come closely to that topic. Now one thing, look at the UPSC notification, what UPSC says. Okay, what they are expecting from students. Candidates may be required to write essays on multiple topics. They will be expected to keep closely. Look at these terms. They will be expected to keep closely to the subject of the essay, to arrange their ideas or in orderly fashion. To arrange their ideas in orderly fashion and write concisely. Credit will be given for effective and exact expression. Look at these keywords because that's how you understand the examiner's mindset or the one who is going to evaluate your copy. What they are exactly checking is clearly mentioned over here. Okay, closely related to the subject, orderly fashion, concisely, effectively and in exact expression. What do we mean by all these terms? So, keep closely to the topic. What do they mean by this? Any idea? You have to keep closely. I'll show you here. Expected to keep closely to the subject of the essay. What do you understand by this? Yes? Here they are saying, let's say author has written something. Okay, author has written an entire book. In that book, we found this particular quote. So, author must have been telling something. There must be some context to that statement. And from there, we brought this particular quote. Now, even if you are not aligned on the same context, even if you do not know that context, that is absolutely fine. That is absolutely fine. What is expected from you to keep this essay closely to the topic. That means whatever core theme is there or whatever one can interpret. And UPSC is quite flexible about interpretation, I'm telling you. they are quite flexible about interpretation. If something can be interpreted in a particular fashion, they are fine with it. This happens especially when it comes to some essays which are coming from, let's say, a thinker, which a person is studying in their optional, let's say in sociology, in political science, or somewhere in philosophy. There's a philosopher and we got a quote from that person. Now, it's not like because you belong to that optional, that means you're going to write a better essay than others. No. Neither UPSC is expecting you to write the thoughts which that person has conveyed. For example, there was one essay called as Real is Rational and Rational is Real. Real is rational and rational is real. Now, this was said by Hegel. Now, he is a political thinker. Students belonging to political science optional or PSIR, they study about Hegel. They know this statement. But because they know this statement, and if they start writing about Hegel and his thoughts, I don't think the student is going to score really high as such in this exam. We want your interpretation. We don't want exact thing. We want you just to keep closely to the topic. That means you just stay connected to the theme. You interpret on your own. There is so much flexibility given to you. Okay? And complete theme has to be focused and not a single keyword as such. If you're looking at a particular essay, don't focus on one particular keyword. With greater power comes greater responsibility. Here, it's not just about power, it's not just about responsibility, but their relation. People, so many people, what they do, they just talk about power, then they just talk about responsibility, and they do it a lot. I'm saying the core essay theme is about their connection and not their independent identity. Or let's say I take another example. For example, this one. A biased media is a threat to democracy. Now see where you can go wrong. If you just talk about media, or let's say biased media, that would be very one-dimensional. If you just talk about democracy or threat to democracy, that would again make your essay very much irrelevant. You're not very closely linked to the core theme. You're just looking at single keywords. Many people do this thing. They just focus on keywords and keep writing on it. No, the essay is not expecting you to write on just media or threat to media or just biased media as such. They're interested in the linkage. If you're not able to show linkage and if you're not able to discuss more on this dimension, then you're somewhere deviating from the core demand. Okay, you're deviating from the core demand. Show that linkage. That is more important. For example, what happens if there is a media channel who has some alignment with a particular political party? Let's say they are getting funding from a political party. Now, in that case, what will happen? They will not ask questions to the chief minister or prime minister or the government. They'll not ask the questions which is the job of this news channel. So let's say there is very high unemployment in the country. They'll not ask. They'll talk about Pakistan or some other thing. Or if you remember in the ethics lectures, I had discussed this part, that a civil servant, a wise civil servant, he focuses on core issues and not the peripheral issues. Here the same thing might happen. This media channel, even though they're raising issues, but they're focusing on peripheral issues and not the core issues. They're sidelining those core issues. That is very much possible, right? So if you can think about these dimensions, this dimension directly addresses this core theme, that a biased media is a threat to democracy. Okay, you have to keep your essay near to this theme. Okay, don't deviate. Fine. This is one part that we understand from this closely part. Then write systematically. Here they expect, you see, arrange ideas in orderly fashion. Now this is one expectation of UPSC. If let's say we are not writing for UPSC, we're writing essay just in general. So as I said, essay is something very personal. It is an artistic expression. It is your personal expression. You can write it your way. But UPSC wants people who can write in an orderly manner. There must be some order, there must be some flow, there must be coherence in the ideas. So if you're writing 2 paragraphs, this is first paragraph, this is second paragraph, there should be some linkage, there should be some connection. Here the paragraph ends at a particular word or particular line. There must be some linkage of that paragraph with the next paragraph. Otherwise what will happen? We'll feel like we're reading something new. Suddenly there will be abrupt initiation of new paragraph and we'll find it like we don't understand what's happening suddenly. So the flow has to be maintained coherent, in a coherent manner. Okay, that's what we call as an orderly essay or a well structured essay. Then there are these words, look at here. Here specifically UPSC has mentioned credit will be given for effective and exact expression. Yes, please tell me, what do we mean by effective and exact expression? Anyone? I think effective is a term we studied in ethics when we were discussing good governance. Yes? Any idea? What do we mean by exact and effective expression, or effective and exact expression? Okay, Gauri says essay should be able to convey ideas. Yes, essay is going to convey ideas. But when I'm saying exact and effective, what do I specifically mean by that? Anyway, we are going to convey ideas, but convey in what way? When we are specifically using these terminologies. So look at this. When we are using this term called exact, especially when you write philosophical essays and all, many students, what they do is they start speaking something vague. The creator must have created the world. The world works with some moral principles. There will be, see, they might be talking something right, something good, but they are not very exact about it. They are not using precise words which are needed to exactly convey what their idea is. So the point is, when we say you have to be exact, whatever you're saying, it should be exact. So we are interested in the right words to be used, and there is no vagueness. Many people write in a vague manner, or they just generalize things. Don't just generalize if it is not needed. Be specific what you really want to say. Okay, so when you write something vague, what you're doing is, for the reader, you are creating 2 or multiple choices. Reader will interpret this statement on his own. He might interpret this way, he might interpret it that way. The point is, now what UPSC is expecting, use the exact words, write in the exact manner, the manner in which you want reader to understand. Don't create complexities, ambiguities or vagueness for the reader. Otherwise reader will think something else. You have written something else, you had a different intention, and reader is taking another meaning out of it. This happens when we have conversation with people, especially when we are angry. We say something, other person takes in a different manner. That should not happen. So that is exactness. Right words to convey the right ideas. Okay. So it is about the precision of thought. You be very precise while writing. Exact. And second word we are using is effective. So I talked about being effective in ethics. We said when we are effective, that means whatever was my objective, I achieved that target, or I have achieved that particular thing. Then I was effective at my work. So let's say government came up with a policy that we will construct houses for 10,000 people. Some way or the other way, they have completed that task. Okay, whatever material they may have used, whatever tactics they may have used, that doesn't matter anything, but they have completed the task. So government was effective, this is for sure. So when you're saying that in essay writing, effective expression is needed, that means whatever you thought, see, when the paper will be there in front of you, you will spend substantial time on thinking. On the last page of your answer sheet, you'll just do the brainstorming and write down your ideas about a particular essay. Let's say we start one essay, we'll start building. In intro, I'll write this. In body, I'll write this part, I'll write this example, this conclusion. Likewise, you'll just make a draft on your last page. Now here, whatever you decided that from a beginning to the end, overall, I want to convey all these messages to this reader. So that should be done. Okay, so it should be effective. That means it should produce the desired outcome, whatever you wanted. That should be done. And how that will come? That will come first with the clarity. If you have the clarity, and if you're writing in a way that the reader gets clarity on your content, so whatever you wanted the reader to understand, everything will be conveyed. Everything will be conveyed in the right manner. This is first thing. Second, this is my personal suggestion about the depth of the content. Many times students make this mistake. They start getting into the depth of the particular issue, but while getting into the depth, they're not using their mind, or rather the logical mind, but they become a bit emotional about things. Sometimes their personal opinion starts dominating on the paper. Even you observe, some people will start showing their political ideology or their religion some way or the other way in their ideas, that will be reflected very easily. So that's where you have to work on. Okay, then diversity of content. If you want to be effective, if you want to convey ideas in the manner in which reader understands everything, you have to give them diverse examples so that he will be very clear that yes, whatever argument you have given, 100% that's correct. So give that diversity, bring different opinions, bring different perspectives, different dimensions. This is one way. Okay, then ensure flow and the emotional tone. Flow we will understand. Emotional tone, bring that emotion wherein the reader finds it interesting to read. Don't just write it down in a bookish manner. In bookish language, when we are writing, it's very monotonous, it's very robotic, very mechanical. But when you bring in human emotions into that, the sentence formation, whatever sentence you're speaking out, it's nice to listen to it, it's nice to read it. Okay, so that emotional tone has to be maintained. And let's say in an essay, you're taking a stand. Let's say, for example, this essay. With greater power comes greater responsibility. The tone is very much wherein you're conveying a message. Okay, then it shows your stand. You're taking a moral stand. So your moral courage should be reflected in that. So the tone should also be of that kind, that you take firm stand about it, no doubt about it. You can just write it down, with great power comes great responsibility. But you can add some emotional dimension wherein you say the same thing in a manner wherein you're showing that I am very clear about it. No matter what, with great power comes great responsibility, you can't compromise on this thing. Show it. Okay. Then providing solutions, suggestions and the warnings. Okay, even if writer has talked about something, you don't need to just align with what writer is saying, what the quote is saying. Many people do this thing. Whatever quote is saying, they'll say the same thing in the entire essay. Why? It's your essay. It's not author's essay. When it is your essay, we want to know your ideas. We want to know what are those things which you give importance to, how you think. We want your independent thought process. So you can you write against author? Yes, you can write against author, no problem. Okay, you can be with writer, you can go against writer, or maybe you can bring in both ideas in the conclusion, saying that in some situations this is right, in some situations this is right. This shows what a balanced person you are. Your thought process is so balanced, you're not having any biasness as such or one-sided view. So you are reflecting your thought process, and when you give solutions, suggestions, warnings, that was not part of the essay theme. You have brought this on your own. That shows your optimism. Okay. One more thing, one suggestion, try to use short sentences. Now this is one common mistake which students have been making, because they're trying to express something. They start writing. Let's say this is the paper, this, and here is the full stop. Such a long sentence. You think about yourself, if such a long sentence is there, will you find it interesting to read? No. Make it smaller. If I say something continuously for 1 minute, there is no full stop. It might become complicated and complex for you to understand. But instead of that, if I say something very short, I am here, I'll go there, after that I'll sit, after that I'll eat. Very simple, no confusion. So try to use shorter sentences wherever possible. There's no fixed rule as such, but try to use shorter sentences. Also, try to use shorter paragraphs. Again, personally, which I have observed. Let's say these are your A4 sheets. You started your essay from here. Okay, you're writing. And here your first paragraph ended. Then you're starting second paragraph here. So here, as a reader, I'll not find it interesting. The better way would be, you started here, your first paragraph ended here, second started here, ended here. This would look much better to me. So first thing, sentences shorter wherever possible. Second thing, paragraphs also shorter wherever possible. For this, I would suggest look at some toppers copies. They are available in the market. If possible, even I'll show you in the next class how many students they have made paragraphs. They have written paragraphs, but they're short paragraphs, so that the reader will find it interesting to read. That is presentation part wherein we are thinking about. Okay. Now, if you have understood what UPSC wanted to convey, okay, so that should be in your mind while writing essays. Now, some basic misconceptions. One, I have already discussed, that some optional help. Some people think that because they belong to a particular optional, and because one essay quote has come from their optional subject, they become very happy. They'll not even read other essay themes. Just because this has come from their optional, they'll start writing. And this leads to a big problem. They keep on writing what they studied in their optional, which was not needed here. That was not needed. So this over enthusiasm about optional, remove that. And others, they have this FOMO, that because one essay has come from political science optional, so we are at disadvantage. No, you're not at disadvantage. You have to just interpret it the way you can. Just ensure that don't make any error in the comprehension. One thing that you can comprehend when you're sitting at your home peacefully, then you can comprehend. The same comprehension is expected in the exam hall. Okay. Then only GS and newspaper is enough for as far as the content part is concerned for essay. See, more or less you can write decent essay as far as your knowledge of GS, optional and the current affairs is concerned, because you have substantial content available with you. But there are some themes on which we see that repeatedly questions are being asked, or the essay is being asked. So I suggest personally, on such themes, try to prepare some content. Try to prepare some part. For example, you can prepare some quotes. I'll show you that part, that some quotes, some anecdotes, some stories you can prepare already, because you know that they're going to ask something related to that topic. For example, there is one theme called gender or women. Now either every year or alternate year they keep on asking one quote on gender or women. So if you have few quotes, few anecdotes, few stories which you can utilize somewhere in the answers, then you are better prepared. Okay, then you are better prepared. So yes, GS newspaper knowledge is enough, but if you can come up with this preparation, that will fetch you extra marks, or you will be more prepared as compared to others. But again, I'll say the role of content is less, the role of writing is more. Then fluent and flowery English is must. What do you think? No. Flowery English, if you can write Shakespearean, to be or not to be, that is the question. If you can write such lines, okay, no problem. But that's not an expectation. See, if you are writing better, why would someone say that no, we'll not like it? It's okay. People will give you decent marks. But it is possible you write flowery English, but there is no flow in your essay. That is possible. Then you will not score good. Okay. And I personally feel, this is my personal suggestion, that if you can write in the simplest language, but you can be effective and exact, you will score better than others. Okay. So this is not must. Then writing abilities, can we improve it in the short span of time? Yes, you can improve it in the short span of time. The improvement, there is a limit. You can't become artistic about essays in just 2 months. It might take at least 1 year, 2 years, maybe you'll become good with it. Some people have natural tendencies. Some people may claim that I didn't prepare for essay much. I've just written 2-3 essays and I directly wrote in the paper. I got good marks. You can't judge them on this parameter that they just wrote 3 essays. Maybe they have a natural tendency. Since childhood, since the school time, they have been writing essays, or they are reading literature, they have been reading books, because of which that natural inclination towards writing is there. So you can't judge that way. Everyone has got different way of writing. Some of you might be engineers, doctors, they are not writing much, especially engineers. They have habit of writing in concise manner, hardly they write anything in the paper. So you people have to come up on this lines of humanities, wherein you have to express things in a good manner. Okay. So this is where in short time, with just practice, you can improve that part. So write as many essays as possible. Obviously you will have limitations. You have to give GS test series and all. So just practice. Then grammar or spelling mistakes. What about this? See, I personally find making any mistake in terms of grammar or let's say this spelling and all, that's a horrible mistake for sure. One thing might happen, that the reader might not recognize it. Reader is in flow and maybe he is not recognizing. For example, you see the spelling of tomorrow. Even if I write it incorrect, maybe sometimes it's not visible. See, if I write double M or if I write double R, or I write single M in this, maybe the examiner might not recognize, he will not be concerned much about it. Okay. But if you make horrible mistakes like the spelling of Vivekanand, just like Donald Trump called him Vivekamunanda. So if you write such things, not just this one, but any easy word or a relatively recognized word, in that word, if you are doing this spelling mistakes, that will be visible directly. Okay. So yes, that will cause you some harm in the essay marks. Okay. Now, how you can score high in this paper? Now our thought process should be how to score above 125, above 130, or maybe above 135. That's the range we should think about. Okay, you can target 140 also, no problem. Okay, but that's where you have to write really good essay. You can expect those marks, not a problem. Now, first thing, prepare your content for major topics. Quotes, anecdotes, some kind of poetry also you can write in the conclusion or in the introduction you can write. Even in the mid part of your essay, somewhere if you can set it rightly in the flow. Now, there's one mistake many students do. because they have prepared a particular quote on a topic, what they'll do is they will try to fit in these quotes deliberately, even if it is not needed. In a natural flow, if this quote does not get set in the natural flow, you should not write it. Just because you have prepared, that doesn't mean you have to vomit it over there. Okay, many students make this particular mistake, I've personally observed. Now, how you can prepare the content? First thing, you see, there are some themes, as I said, like this women or gender theme. You see, consistently they have been asking one or the other quote. For example, this: men have failed, let women take over. Very feminist quote. Men have failed. Can you think about it? I can simply think about men have failed. You see, because of men, there are wars, there is pollution, there are so many things. Men are at the decision-making position. So let women take over. Now, it's not necessary you have to just write about men. See the idea of interpretation over here. Instead of men, I can interpret as masculinity. Instead of women, I can think about this femininity. I can think about the values of feminism. So values of masculinity and values of feminism, or values wherein females show the importance of cooperation, love, peace, compassion, all these things. What men think about fighting, discipline, productivity, all these things. Okay, now see, another topic, the new emerging women power, the ground reality. Then, greater political power alone will not improve women's plight. Greater political power alone will not improve women's plight. Then, women is God's best creation. I think I can write one of the best essays when it comes to such a topic. So it's an open canvas. They have not written anything. It's nothing but you have to write on women. That's it. Just think about it. You can write substantially good. You have so much content available. As compared to other, I'm saying, as compared to all these, this one is very easy to write. Women empowerment challenges and prospects. Very direct question, just like your GS papers. Then, empowerment alone cannot help our women. Analytical, critical thinking that is needed to write this. Then, we the women's emancipation. If women ruled the world, you see, similar essay repeated. Then, women's reservation bill. Now, one more thing I want to highlight. If women ruled the world, isn't it the same kind of essay which you would have written in childhood? If I become the prime minister, that kind of essay you must have written in childhood, school times. It's the similar one, which is imaginative. Now, there is so much scope to write. You can write anything. There is so much scope. Okay? Women's reservation bill would usher in empowerment for women in India. Then, managing work and home is the Indian working women getting a fair deal. So, it's about this double burden which women are facing, which we study in Indian society, women related issues. From this, what we understand for the preparation part, that women or gender as a core theme is important. They keep on asking. There are many more themes or quotes available. And for that theme, I should have substantial content available. Anyway, we read in Indian society or generally in polity and all, we read about all these things, or in current affairs also. What we can prepare is some quotes, some good quotes through which I can either start the essay, the introduction part, or I can end the entire essay with a very good line which this reader is going to remember. Or maybe while describing a particular incident, let's say I'm talking about women, I am talking about the suffering of women. Okay, in an essay, I have to show that women are suffering a lot, or women have been suffering a lot. Okay, so I have talked about suffering. Then I have to talk about their emancipation. And let's say I'm trying to write in a manner just like a story, a narration. Think about it. Can I write this good line? This I've taken from a book called Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. It's a play actually. I am no bird. The lady is saying, I'm no bird and no net ensnares me. I'm a free human being with an independent will. Okay, you can't trap me, you can't put me in a particular prison, just the way women's are. So I'm no bird and no net ensnares me. I am a free human being with an independent will. So if I start with such a line, or somewhere if I use it, don't you think this will give a good impression? So you understand this part. So now it is your responsibility, you prepare at least on those themes which are repeated, which you know that they will be asked. This gender or women is just one theme. I'll tell you the list of that theme or what kind of themes we keep on getting again and again. So you prepare some part at least. That's your preparation, smart preparation. Okay, some other, I'll just read it out for you. If one man can destroy everything, why can't one girl change it? Right? Very good line in between essays. Or this can be one heading or subheading in your essay. It can be. Then you educate a man, you educate a man, you educate a woman, you educate a generation. I think women are foolish to pretend they are equal to men. They are far superior and always have been. Now this is a radical feminist perspective which you can bring in such essays where you have to talk about if women ruled the world or men have felt let women take over. Can you think about this dimension? If such an essay is there, can't you write such good lines? Although it's a radical feminist perspective, but to start, it's a good one. Or this, one is not born women but rather becomes women, to show the role of patriarchy. So prepare such quotes. It's not like you have to prepare so many, but at least prepare few which are relevant for those topics which are repeated. Okay, this is about quotes. Apart from quotes, you can prepare some poetry or verses or some kind of shlok as we call them. That also you can write in the answers. Now here something said by Basavanna. Look here, my dear fellows, I wear these men's clothes only for you. Sometimes I'm a man, sometimes I'm a woman. I think if I'm writing an essay about gender, I'll certainly use this somewhere. Now that is a decision that I'll be taking, whether it suits in the introduction or in the conclusion. That's where my decision making will come up. My my flow will come into picture. Or this particular quote about women. Then somewhere you can write down some anecdotes or some stories, and those are more effective even than quotes. Some people think that we have to write quotes. See, already UPSC has given one quote. Let's say some quote is given, you have written it over here in your answer sheet. Now after that you will write another quote over here, and then you will start your essay. Better would be you start with a story. Although I'm not suggesting that you do not write quote and all. If it suits, if it naturally suits, you must. But most of the time, I personally found that instead of quotes, you can write a good story. And people find that reading story is much more interesting if you write it in that manner. So for example, you talk about the story of Dr. Bhakti Yadav. This I had discussed in the ethics classes. You talk about the story of Sindhutai Sapkal. This I'll show you. Okay, even if I have mentioned it over here just for now, I'll show you how I'll use her story in one of the essays that I'll discuss. Either today or tomorrow I'll discuss, but I'll certainly show you how I'll use this story. Now, one smart way that I personally found out, whose stories should I collect? Now, Sindhutai Sapkal, she is Padma Shri awardee. This you can also do. Look at the Padma Shri awardees in last 1, 2 years, 3 years who have done really good job. And if you are also very impressed with their story, just note it down. You can mention that story. So she has got a good story. Sindhutai Sapkal, she was thrown out from her home by her husband She became a beggar. She had nothing. And she had no purpose in life, nothing at all. She was about to commit suicide or something. But at that point of time, she saw one child suffering. A child who is an orphan. He has got no mother, father as such. And she decided that I'll take care of this child. She got some purpose in life. After that, she started adopting so many such orphan children. And now she is known as mother of 1,000 orphans. So she has a great life. So such an example, if you can add in such a story, even if you write one story in short paragraph, okay, obviously that should be relevant. That should be relevant for that essay. I'll show you that part. But such themes, such stories will certainly build interest for the reader. And as I said, just like movies, entertainment is most important thing. Similarly in essays, interest in reading, that matters more than anything. Okay. Similar stories you can prepare whichever you like. Or smart way would be, you prepare some content which can be utilized in the essay part for such themes. For example, specifically related to women. So I have found out that there's an entire theme I can build in around women when I have to show their suffering. If in any essay I have to show the suffering of women, then I have prepared this diagram. I can show the suffering through just one diagram. Now I'm not saying you make this diagram in the essay. There's no rule. You can make diagram if you want to. But I can use the content of this diagram to write at least three paragraphs, and that too in a very good manner, to show the suffering that before birth she starts suffering because sex selective births take place. In the womb, female feticide happens. After taking birth as an infant, she is neglected or sometimes even killed, infanticide. At this next stage, there is malnutrition because son is given priority, daughter is not given much priority. Malnutrition, school dropout, child labor. In the adolescent age, sexual violence, child marriage, anemia. Adult women faces rape, trafficking, unpaid work, domestic violence. And other women, just like these widows, socially excluded. So there is a cycle to show suffering. And I know if I write this content in 2 paragraphs, 1 paragraph also, that will be expressing my thought in a very good manner. So for such themes which are repetitive ones, you can prepare such content that will give you an extra edge wherein you will be more prepared than others. Okay, even if you don't prepare, still there is a possibility you can write decent essay. This is where I'm talking about if you really want to prepare more or prepare better. Yes? Any doubt till now? Please ask if you have any doubt. See, my point is, you people should understand what should be done, what should not be done in the first class, so that later on we'll discuss many essays. There you will understand all that structure and all those things. At least understand what should be your approach while writing essays. No? Very good. Now, look at some other themes so that you get better idea. There's one theme called as media or social media. Okay, nowadays they're focusing on social media too. But overall, as a media, as a theme, we can prepare. So there are themes, there are quotes given. For example, they are asked mass media and cultural invasion. Very open-ended topic. Then responsibility of media in a democracy. Now see, initially also I had discussed something, threat to democracy. Biased media is a threat to democracy, right? Don't you think same? Yeah, here we have this. Biased media is a threat to democracy. Don't you think more or less their content is going to be very similar? If you know the responsibility of media, you can certainly write how biased media is a threat, right? Then how has satellite television brought about cultural change in Indian mindsets? Now this is very specific about this satellite television. Okay. Role of media in good governance. Then this sting operation, which we have discussed already. So again, bring in few statements, few quotes, or in case you can show irony. Say people like to see irony. If you can show something like wherein you are making people think about it, then that is more impressive, more interesting. For example, these are the words of German theologian Martin Niemöller, who supported Hitler before being arrested by Nazis. So earlier he was supporting Hitler. Later on the Nazis themselves, means it's like you are supporter of a political party. After some time the party, when they came in power, they arrested you. This happened with Martin Niemöller. Now he's expressing that thought, and he will show the importance of media, importance of freedom of speech and expression. First they came for the communists, and I did not speak out because I was not a communist. Why should I speak when I am not a communist? They should speak for themselves. Then they came for trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Again, why should I care? Then they came for Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. And then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. Right? Now see, the way it has been expressed, even you can learn about the art of writing from this just short para or short poetry, you can say. The person has conveyed whatever thought he wants to convey to you in the exact and the most effective manner. Are you getting this point? And that too in a very concise manner. He's not taken a lot of space as such. Getting my point? First thing, learn how to write from this. If you write this way, certainly you'll get good marks. But apart from that, you can utilize it wherever there is a theme related to importance of democracy, importance of media, importance of freedom of speech and expression, and responsibility. There's one essay theme I'll discuss today, that there's one problem that when good people do not speak, that leads to a problem. Let me check if it is on the slide. See this one. All it takes for evil to triumph is for good men to do nothing. Can you understand the meaning of this essay? I'll discuss it in detail, but just now, just for now, just try to comprehend what the author is saying. All it takes for evil to triumph. Whenever you are not able to comprehend complete long statement, just break it down. Just read half of the sentence. This is the half sentence. All it takes for evil to triumph. Evil means the bad person. Bad person to win. What is needed? For good men to do nothing. That good people, good person doesn't speak. So if something is happening wrong and you're a good person, you're not speaking out, you're not raising your voice against that wrong things or injustice that is taking place, this is the reason this evil triumphs, that a bad person wins. The moment these good people start speaking, start raising voice, start taking action, they take some action, any action, the bad people will not win. That's the simple message this quote is giving. Right? Now come back to what I was discussing. Here when such essays are there, in the same essay, don't you think we can utilize this part? We can utilize very well. This expresses better than the way we write essays. So think about this part, how you can utilize this part. First prepare this part, then how you can utilize it, where it can be utilized. Your mind should be, if you remember this thing, automatically when you will be making that structure of your essay, there you'll certainly remember all such quotes, all these things. So some quotes also I mentioned here. 4 hostile newspapers are more to be feared than 10,000 bonnets. Napoleon Bonaparte. So this dictators fear hostile newspapers. Very clear. News is what someone wants suppressed. Everything else is advertising. Very good. Price of democracy is eternal vigilance. Okay. Or Gandhiji's press is called fourth estate. It is definitely a power, but to misuse that power is criminal. Okay. So prepare. I'm trying to just give you an idea about what kind of content you can prepare, and it will not take a lot of time as such. How much time will it take for you to just prepare? For one, let's say on media, I'll just, if I'm making notes, I'll just write down one good story like this one, this irony part, this I'll mention. I'll take 2, 3, 4 quotes. That's it. My notes are done. Or any anecdote if I can come up with. For example, this is a very good story which can be utilized. During 2010, there was widespread discontent against autocratic regimes across the Middle East, often referred to as Arab Spring. While discontent was not new, what was new was the social media and its power. Social media played a huge role in mobilizing people who were demanding democracy and decision making. Now just tell me, don't you think it's a very good introduction to write? When I read this particular part, did you find it interesting to listen? Did you find it interesting to listen to it at least? If you're finding it interesting, that means reader will find it interesting. And this is written in very plain English. Do you find anything very technical or very flowery English as such? No. Good one. This one also decent. The year 2008 saw the election of Barack Obama as the first black president of USA. However, his rise was accompanied by the silent rise of social media, Twitter and Facebook, which played a major role in influencing people. So here end it, because this is something I've mentioned about India also. But if you see, there is a flow in sentence, the story is real, and the narration is also very good. So if I can write like this, it's not like something you have to mug up on this. You don't need to mug up all this. If you have decent writing style, you will write on your own. But basically, you'll at least remember, yes, I can write about Arab Spring when it comes to social media. People are not writing. People are not writing about Arab Spring as a story. Okay, so one suggestion from my side, especially with respect to introduction or with respect to examples. If you want to score really high, above 125, above 130, then in the introduction and while providing examples and all, try to come up with something new, especially in terms of introduction. I'm saying everyone is writing about Gandhiji, everyone is writing about Buddha. When they get nothing, they will talk about Gandhiji or Buddha. You come up with some stories which others are not writing. As I said, this Arab Spring, people are not writing about Arab Spring. You can bring in that story. Okay, or any story of a bureaucrat. Anyway, you are going to prepare such stories for your ethics paper, right? I told you, you have to mention names wherein, let's say, you're talking about integrity, you're talking about empathy and all. You should have some bureaucrats in mind. You can mention a story of a bureaucrat, any particular incident if you can talk about. That's good. Or the Sindhutai Sapkal about whom I talked just now. Nobody is writing about Sindhutai Sapkal. I'm telling you honestly. Hardly you will find people writing about her in the essay. Okay. So this should be kept in mind. Clear? So preparing content for major topics. That's one thing to score really high. Second, learn the time management part. Now see, how much time do you get in the essay paper? You have to write 2 essays, 3 hours. So 1.5 hours each. As compared to GS paper, you see how much you have to write in GS paper. Compare that part. You have 10 markers, 10 question, 20 pages, 15 marker, 10, 30 pages, 50 pages you have to write. In case of essay paper, how many pages you are writing? How many pages are you writing? 1200 words each. So 2400. So you're hardly writing half of the paper of GS. The number of words you are writing in GS paper, compare it with essay paper, is approximately near to half. You're writing very less in essay paper. So as far as time management is concerned, writing speed is concerned, that would not be a big problem in essay paper. In ethics paper, that will be a problem. You will not have enough time to write. But here you will have substantial time. So when you get the paper, take time. Take time to first decide your essay topic. Even if it takes 5 minutes, 10 minutes, anything, do not panic. Do not think that everyone has started. It might happen that as soon as you get the paper, you saw that everyone is writing essay. Don't compare yourself with others. Okay, anyway you will have substantial time to write. The important thing is quality, not quantity. Anyway, what will they do by completing it early? We have to complete in time. So take time. I personally suggest initial 20 to 30 minutes. That should be the timer in your mind, that you are going to spend this much time on brainstorming. You have decided your essay topic. Now let's say out of 4, I have decided one essay topic, and now I am thinking about it. So here, this is the brainstorming part. I'll think whatever I can think about it, whatever. I'll take the last page of the answer sheet. I'll jot down my points, that I'll write this story, this what we were doing, spring, Arab Spring. I'll mention here. I'll write about Arab Spring in intro. Then I get one example. I'll write this. Then I can open up this dimension. I'll write this. Then I start giving numbering: 1, 2, 3rd this, 4th this. Likewise, all this structuring, all this brainstorming part, you'll spend 20 to 30 minutes. Once all the structuring is done, now stop thinking and start writing. And I assure you, even if you give 1 hour with the decent speed, because you will develop decent speed with more answer writing throughout this phase, so you will write. I'm pretty sure you'll write, you'll complete the paper. Okay, and don't be like I'll highlight later on and all. Do that highlighting and all at the same time. Don't waste your time in other things. Okay, so time management clear. This writing improvement, this part I have already discussed. Now overall, what will be checked or what will be needed in your essay? First thing, the flow in the essay. It should be in flow. I should enjoy it, just like a song, just like a poetry, just like a movie. I enjoy it because there is a flow, there is a continuity. Suddenly they are not showing me different scene altogether, because I will not like it. So there must be flow in the essay. Structuring should be done in an orderly manner. So let's say you're discussing different ideas, good side of something, bad side of something, the blend of something, reversal of something, anything you're discussing. Then have you maintained an order? Okay, or have you written in a haphazard manner? Somewhere you talked about the good things, suddenly you started talking about the blend, suddenly you started talking about the bad things, or you mixed it up. Don't mix it up. There should be some order. Okay, and how that order will be built? When you're doing the brainstorming on this paper, where you're preparing what to write, and then you give number 1, number 2, number 3, you will prepare that order, and that maintain that order. Don't change that order later on. While writing the essay, don't change it. First think whatever you have to think. Okay, logical progression of ideas, slowly push the ideas. This is where many students fail, especially because they have read their optional in detail and all. They know some technical words, they know many things. How do you know whether the reader knows those technical words or not? So when you're establishing any idea, when you're expressing something, express it slowly. Express it in a manner, assume that the person knows nothing. He's very basic person, basic layman. So logically progression should be there, and reach to that path where you want to reach. Conclusion should be in mind, as I said. Then analytical, yes, you have to do analysis. You have to break parts. I'll show you that part. Continuity should be there. Yes, you understand this. Expressing exactly what you wanted. for the reader to understand. We have discussed this part already. So this is how you will score better in essay. Any doubt till now? Okay. Now see, if we look at the trend, what do we observe? Thematically, if I have to look at essay paper, one section, your philosophical section or reflective section. Okay, so 2014 they asked two themes, 15, 3, 1, 2, then 5, 4, 4, 8. Interesting. 2021, all the 8 topics are philosophical. 7, 6. Okay, look at the trend. And there are other topics, your general themes like social issues, which includes women, education, poverty, etc. This includes 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, nothing, 2. So seems important, social issues. Then IR, security, few topics, science and technology, few, role of media, few, economics, polity, governance, rarely they ask sometimes. From this, what do we understand? We understand one trend. The trend very clearly shows that yes, there are some questions or there will be some topics from your general studies part. But certainly we have to focus on philosophical section considering the trend. Especially since 2018, it is very much reflecting that UPSC is more interested in philosophical section. There's a reason behind that. The essay paper was introduced so that we can understand your thought process. The examiner can understand your thought process. They can reflect on your personality. They can understand your depth. But when we give you these kinds of topics, somewhere we are not making, we are not doing justice with understanding your depth. So I personally feel that philosophical essays can actually showcase your personality altogether. Now the point is, the trend shows philosophical is important. So even we will focus much on the philosophical part. Okay. Now, some common mistakes. Through some essay themes, we will try to understand those common mistakes. Okay. This part I have already discussed, I think. I don't need to repeat it. That your content is important or your writing skill is important. The answer is your writing skill. Even if very enriched content, very hi-fi content, you are coming from Harvard or something, doesn't matter. Even if you write a research paper here, doesn't matter. Writing skill matters. Okay. Now, most of the students, commonly, they like something called pestle approach. And they create problems because of pestle approach. Now, those who don't know, what we do is, when we are writing any essay, let's say we got one essay theme, let's say hands that rock the cradle rules the world, or let's say some easier one. This one is also not that easy. Okay, this one, easier one. All it takes for evil to triumph is for good men to do nothing. Okay, this is easy. Or if we take something from these general parts, mass media and cultural invasion, or this role of media in good governance, any such thing. Now there are different ways of brainstorming. Brainstorming means we are just sitting at a place and we are just thinking. We are just thinking about what all can be written in this particular essay. Now there are different ways. One way is your free run, or what we call as randomly thinking. Think randomly whatever comes to your mind. Think about it. Okay, there's a quote. We'll do this thing. Right away we will try to do this thing. This one. All it takes for evil to triumph is for good men to do nothing. Tell me what all comes to your mind. Anything, any example, any argument, any thought, if you can remember, randomly. Yes, tell me whatever randomly is coming into your mind. That is brainstorming. Think. I'll also tell you what is coming in my mind as soon as I read this quote. whatever I can think, I'll just note it down here. Okay, you mention, I'll write till now, till that time. Yes. Now randomly when I am thinking about it, I just got these ideas that I think I can write at least this much in my essay. Okay, if I spend more time, as I said, you spend 20 to 25 minutes, 30 minutes on brainstorming, you'll grab many ideas. Okay, now I'm not thinking about introduction, body, conclusion, anything. I'm not thinking about anything. I'm just thinking about what I comprehended, what I have interpreted from this particular theme, and randomly I'm jotting down all those points. So as soon as I read this, I started thinking about Mahabharata. I know one thing about Mahabharata, that it did not take place, means there is one argument about it, that Mahabharata did not take place just because of Duryodhan or these evil persons, Duryodhan or Kaurav or these evil people. Mahabharata took place because of inaction of few good people. Few good people did not, if they would not have supported Kaurav, then Duryodhan would never have thought about going ahead with any war as such. Are you getting this point? Who are those three people? One, I can think about Bhishma. He was in support, he was on that side. I can think about Dronacharya. I can think about Karna. So there is one perception, you call it, one opinion, you call it, one commentary on Mahabharata, you call it, that any war or war like Mahabharata, it takes place because of inaction of good people. They didn't take the right stand, they didn't take the right action which was needed. So as soon as I read this, I could remember this. I just noted it down. I don't know where I'll use it, whether in intro, body or conclusion. I'll think about it later on. First I'll just jot it down. Then I thought that this can be applied in the present time scenario, that I can link it with climate change, poverty, terrorism. Now these are global concerns right now. I can think about it, that these things will win. That means climate change is happening. Now you can link it with capitalism, you can link it with consumerism, you can link it with whatever is happening. Industrial revolution, you say. You talk about poverty, you talk about terrorism. So if these things are happening, here good men have to do something. Otherwise, certainly evil will win. Can I talk about this dimension? Yes. Again, I don't know. Most probably, this I'll be using at the end of my essay. Not in the beginning as such. Maybe when my essay is about to end, somewhere there, I want to show the present relevance. There I might show it. Okay. Then I thought about one more dimension randomly, that there are some good men who took some action. It's not like they do nothing. They did something. Sometimes good men also do something, and they eventually changes everything. So example I just could remember was Raja Ram Mohan Roy. Raja Ram Mohan Roy. He took action, and we saw how Sati tradition got completely vanished from our society. Now see, randomly when I'm thinking, I'm gaining good examples. Now this is not something new for you, I'm sure. I don't know whether you have idea about Mahabharata, but at least these points, these are not nothing new. You've read it. You've read it in GS somewhere. Okay. So the first step in brainstorming would be to think randomly, free run. Keep your mind open. Don't come up with that pestle approach, this approach, scientific approach and all. It is essay, it's an art, it's not science. No formula. There is no formula. Okay, let it be art. Think randomly as much as possible, especially when it comes to philosophical essays specifically. You have to do this random thinking. Either there is way of random thinking or there is way of analytical thinking. But going with the structure of pestle and all, that will not work much when it comes to philosophical essays. Now see, another way is this 5W plus 1H. That means you think about what, why, who, when, where, how. If you're discussing any idea, think about all these dimensions. If you can write two paragraphs on each, you will still complete substantial essay, right? So this is one way you can think about it. Or the people's favorite pestle approach, think about what is there in polity, economy, society, environment, etc., 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 or think about entire syllabus. That is one way. But I don't suggest you for constructing your entire essay for those macro dimensions. See, these are the macro dimensions which we were discussing over here. So for these macro dimensions, at least, don't go for pestle approach as far as possible. Use pestle approach where? When you have prepared your basic structure, those macro dimensions. Now in each dimension, when you have to come up with many arguments, many examples, then you go for pestle approach. So let's say the time to repair, or even if I go back to the same example, where is it? This one. What I can think about now, if I have to structure it rightly. Now here I'm not using pestle approach as such. I'm going in a bit analytical manner. First, when good men do nothing, evil wins. I know this thing. So why do good men remain silent? This is one thing. Why do good men do nothing? That why dimension. Okay. Then when they do this, when they do nothing, what will be its consequence? I'm thinking very logically. No framework, nothing. Analysis, that too in a logical manner. When they do nothing, what happens? The consequences are very dangerous. We can show that. Now, when I have to talk about this consequences part, now think about this part. Now, I have to show that when good men do nothing, something goes horrible. Now, what do I need? I need examples. I need arguments. Now, here I can use pestle approach to think about examples. I'm not able to find out any example randomly. So, I'll get into history. I'll think about history. Yes. In modern history, I find some examples. In world history, I find some examples. Let's say World War II is a good example. Good men failed. Good men failed to make an institution at international level. That's why World War happened. Or even talk about that treaty also. So, you show this. Pestle, here you can use this pestle approach to grab or come up with more examples. To think, let's say randomly if those are not coming, not just pestle, I suggest think about entire syllabus. Think about GS. In GS1 you have ancient, medieval, art and culture, everything. GS2 this. Think about entire syllabus. From wherever you can get one argument or one example, put it here. Getting my point? So that's how you think. Rest, I'll talk about this now. So I talked about adverse consequences. Then I'll talk about, does everyone remain silent? Is it the same case every time that good men always remain silent? Again, it's a very logical thought. I'm thinking on the same part. No, sometimes they speak, sometimes they don't. So don't dimension I have covered here. Here I'll talk about this positive part, wherein when they speak, something good happens. Raja Ram Mohan Rai, the example which I talked, that suits here. So here you show all the consequences. All these consequences. When good men take stand, what happens? All that. Showcase that. Now the canvas is open. You can show with different examples, different arguments. Now, present time relevance. Now, this is the part I was talking about. climate change, terrorism, all these things. I can relate it with this part. And I can make this essay very future oriented and very optimistic and giving a message to the reader that, bro, you are also here. If you don't take any action, even your children are going to die because of this terrorism, because of this climate change. I'll give this message to this person. I am very clear. The moment I start this essay, I'm very clear about my conclusion. That I'm definitely going to give some tips to this person. You have to do these concrete actions. Otherwise, something wrong will happen to you. And I'll motivate him. Okay, so the tone of this essay will be, when I'm talking about adverse consequences, I'll show that sad side. And when I'll be reaching to the end, the present time relevance, and I'll be giving some way forward solution part or what the other person should do, my tone will be motivational. You have to do this thing, kind of. So that's how I write entire essay. Getting the point? How here we have come up with those broad macro dimensions through simple analysis or breaking down the theme or thinking in a very logical manner on the theme. Even only these broad macro dimensions are enough for you to write 1000 words. I'm telling you, 1000, 1200, you can easily write with this. In this, you have to think about what all arguments I can think of, what all examples I can think of. That's the advanced part. Clear? Any doubt till now? No doubts? Okay. So, random way, this W way, pestle approach, and there is one more called as temporal. Now, temporal approach is one through which you can write an entire essay. You can make the entire macro dimension in such a manner that you show temporal scale. Temporal means you're showing a scale of time, just like evolution. So what you'll do is, in past, this used to happen. At present, this happens. And in future, this might happen. This is a temporal scale to lead your entire essay. Now, one good thing about such essays would be, they will definitely be in flow. Because first you talk in this manner, then you talk about present, then you talk about future, and then you suggest some way forward, some solutions and all. So this is one way. Or it's not like you have to go with one approach or the other. Mix all the approaches. That's the approach I suggest. Mix everything. First, do one thing. Think randomly. Okay, that's first approach. We'll think as much as possible. Then we'll go by this W approach. What, when, they, where, what, whatever we can think, how and all. About anything that comes up. We'll think that. Then we'll use pestle approach for more examples, and then we will use this temporal part to come up with more arguments and more examples. That's how completely we will have enough content. Fair enough? So brainstorming part is done. Now come back. Now look at few things. This I have already discussed. This one we can discuss. The process of self-discovery has now been technologically outsourced. Okay, now think about this, wherein we are trying to break or deconstruct this particular theme. Okay, we will try to deconstruct it. The process of self-discovery. Unless I understand the exact meaning, I'm going to read this theme again and again. The process of self-discovery. They're talking about self-discovery and its process, how it is done, has now been technologically outsourced. So they're saying at present time, it is being done using technology. That means earlier, there was no technology which is being used in self-discovery. Self-discovery, knowing yourself, knowing thyself. You know, we studied about that part in emotional intelligence, self-awareness part. Now think about this. When it is saying that now it is technologically outsourced. So in past there was something, that means traditionally it was done in a different manner. You can think about it randomly. Yes, so this becomes the core part of my discussion. That's where my essay starts, right? First of all, obviously I'll discuss self-discovery. Now whenever you get any essay, I personally suggest, if you're not able to understand it, break it into multiple parts. I break it over here, the process of self-discovery. Once I understand that has now been technologically outsourced. This is how I will think. Okay. Again, in case you still find it difficult, try to find out those core keywords. Those keywords which are defining the entire meaning of this essay. So process of self-discovery, at least even this process part, this is the main thing. And sit and think about how self-discovery is done. Or simply think about this dimension. If I have to know about myself, my purpose in life, who am I, or simply what are my emotions and all those things. What are the processes, what all tools I can use, what all I can do to reach that part. Think about that part. You're getting substantial content. Now think about this thing, what used to happen few years back and how now it has got changed. Because it's saying technologically outsourced. That means somewhere we are using technology. Nowadays we are even asking questions to ChatGPT. What do you think? What is my personality? Why am I doing this? I'm feeling low. Why? You can ask ChatGPT, right? So the point is, this is how you deconstruct the essay. You try to understand the meaning, and while understanding, you come up with those analytical macro dimensions which you can explore in the essay. So what we will do in this particular essay, first we will start with what is self-discovery, because that's the key term over here. We will discuss in detail what do we mean by self-discovery, what is it exactly. We'll put examples, we'll talk about many things, we'll discuss this part. Now we'll reach, see, when we complete this part, then we reach to the process of it. How it is done. How self-discovery is done. I'll talk about the process. And here now I'll reach this point wherein in the past, traditionally, how this was being done. I'll discuss this part. Once I am done with that part, then I'll reach to the present part. So you can think about this, nothing new, or it's not something very difficult as such. Earlier people used to write journals, right? Diary writing and all. Nowadays we are not writing much. We are, means when you write journals, when you self-write, you self-review. Nowadays what we do, whatever we think, we suddenly put it on Instagram or Twitter, then we get comments and response. And when we are getting that comment or response, that's a review from others or critiques. So in the self-discovery, in the past, it was more self-oriented or self-led, whereas presently it is somewhere we see the role of society through the outsourced technological medium, through internet, through social media, etc. I can think about it randomly. I can think about this dimension. Okay. So this part done. Now I can think about the new dimensions, because only with these dimensions I can't write entire essay. I have to open up new dimensions. I have to think about it. Now come to this part. Here we are saying we have technologically outsourced it, and see this, it's an extreme statement. They are saying now in the present time, whatever we do about self-discovery, we use technology for sure. Without technology, we don't even do it. It's an extreme statement. Can it be 100% correct? No. A balanced thought process, or if you have a balanced thought, you can understand that no, it's not 100% right. It has substance. It's true, but not 100%. There will be some cases wherein it is not completely outsourced. It is possible that somewhere it is not completely outsourced as such. Think about that dimension over here. Now You can bring in your ethics. Anyway, we think about pestle, general studies and all. Think about ethics. If you can add ethical dimension. Nowadays, we are outsourcing it technologically. We are very much relying on technology for self-discovery. Is it a good thing or a bad thing? So, for example, earlier we used to read books or we used to study from teachers or gurus. Nowadays, what we do is we rely on technology. We ask Google or ChatGPT or any such source. Now the question is it a good thing or a bad thing? I'm looking at the ethical dimension. Think about it. I can write entire 1 or 2 paragraphs just by opening up this dimension. So I'll think about this part. Is it good or is it bad? Right? Then what will be the impact of this self-discovery? If we are doing it this way, what will be the impact? And then you suggest some solution. You take a stand. You take a stand that traditional approach which was there and now we are using this new technological approach. I think both are needed. That's a very good balanced stand I can take. That both are needed. Both are complementary to each other. So this is how I can build a stand. I can give a solution-oriented conclusion, or I can talk about the balance that is there. Nothing wrong in being technologically outsourced, nothing wrong in going for traditional approach. Both are okay. That's also fine. So that's how we opened up all these macro dimensions. Yes, any doubt on this particular part? Please ask if you have any doubt. I'll discuss few more and later on we will discuss entire essays too. But first learn how to come up with those broader macro dimensions, because without these dimensions you can't structure your essay. Yes, any doubt? Yeah, what's the doubt? Sir, can I use why, what, etc. after temporal in this essay? Yes, you can use anywhere. There is no rule. As I said, in essay there is no rule. It's all up to you how you want to structure it. The point is, it should look organized. As long as it is organized, whether you're using why, what and all, whether you're using temporal, whether you're mixing it all together, doesn't matter anything. While reading, it should not be haphazard. That suddenly, if you're bringing that temporal scale, it will certainly make it organized. But if it is haphazard, suddenly you're talking about present, suddenly you're talking about history, now that might not look that organized. Okay? Done? Any other doubt apart from this? So we've done this process of self-discovery. This one we will discuss. The time to repair the roof is when sun is shining. Now take a little bit time to understand it. In such essays, you have to broadly understand the meaning and not through keywords. Although through keywords you might start making your content or start making your dimensions, but if you want to interpret it, it's the complete statement that you will have to understand. Time to repair the roof is when sun is shining. When the sun is not shining, that means that is the phase when you can't repair your roof. Repairing roof, what can you understand? Now, how we will deconstruct essay? Just look at and try to understand either the dictionary meaning or whatever we can randomly understand as a meaning. Okay, so repairing the roof, I will think about the roof, I'll think about entire house. Okay, whatever is given, I'll think about that thing. Here we have the sun. What is the writer trying to say? This is my roof. I have to repair it. That means there is already some damage or there is some weakness. There is some weakness when it comes to my home, that the roof has got some damage, some holes are there, or something is broken, some problem is there, some weakness is there. Basically we can think at least this much you can think. Okay, that's why I need repair. Otherwise, why would I need repair? There is certainly some problem or some weakness at my home. That's why I need to repair that part. Now, the time to repair, when you're going to repair it, when the sun is shining. Think about it. If there is no sun, at that time, I can't repair it. Okay, I can't repair it. Let's say the sun is not shining. That means, let's say there is cloudy environment, sun is not shining. What happens? There will be rainfall. If there will be rainfall, because of this weakness, there will be water in my home. Simply I can understand that part, right? So what the author is trying to say, when the sun is shining, get it repaired. Or in simple terms, when you have the right time or very peaceful time. When sun was shining, that was a peaceful time. Or rather I can say, don't you think this is what the writer is trying to say? Take the action at the right time. When the sun is shining, only that time get it repaired. Later on, you will not even get the opportunity to take this action. Even if you want to take that action, because the time is not right. Continuously there is rainfall. Can you repair it now? Now you can't repair. Now you can't repair. So overall the theme is talking about timely action. Whatever action you are going to take, you have to take it at the right time. Let's say I can relate it, just when I'm thinking randomly, I can relate it with my defense capabilities or a country's defense capabilities. When the war has started, is it the right time to build my defense capabilities, or before the war starts? When there is peaceful time, then I'll build my defense capability. I want to do some mock drills. I want my military people to get some training. Let's say I want to send the military people to Russia to get some kind of different training. I want to send some Air Force pilots to America to learn some new software, to learn some new aircraft and all these things. If I want to make them stronger, let's say for the sake of example, that our armed force, or let's say our air force, is weak in terms of using technology. So I want to teach them, I want to train them. Can you do it when the war has already started? Do you have that much time? Can you take the leverage of funds and all? You'll put all your funds, all your time in the war. So timely action is needed. Can you think about this part? If you can think about this part, that means now you have understood or deconstructed the meaning of this essay. Okay, I'm trying to show you how I am logically thinking, simply thinking in a random manner to understand the meaning of this philosophical quote. It's a philosophical one. Still, it's so easy to understand. Getting my point? I've used the same words in the essay topic, imagined and tried to understand the author's perspective. Simple. Okay. Now, what all I can write in this, the macro dimensions part. First thing, why is the timely action needed? Why do I need to take timely action? Because writer is saying take timely action. So I can explore this dimension. I'll certainly talk about that part. I'll explore this dimension. Why do I need to take this timely action? What will go right? What will go right and what will go wrong? If I take timely action, what will go right? And if I don't take timely action, what will go wrong? Wrong means I'm talking about those grave consequences. When I don't take action exactly on the time needed, then what will be the grave consequences? Now here bring in your temporal scale, what, why scale, or there is one more scale I can tell you. You think first about individual, That means yourself, you can think about yourself. Then think about your family. Then think about your society. Then think about your nation and the entire world. You can think. So if I have to, when I enter into a broader dimension, that macro dimension, now I can open up, or I can come up with more micro dimensions. I can think about, or if I want more examples, I can think about those grave consequences of inaction at the right time. So think about individual, you think about yourself. Right now is the time to prepare for essay. Will you prepare just day before the exam or on the day of exam? No. Making notes and all those things, that's a task you have to perform right now. Right? When the sun is shining, there will be time. Winter is coming, darkness will be there. That is not the right time. So this is what you can think. Similarly, you can think at family level, society level, nation level, etc., etc. This is just how we open it up. Okay. Then, why are we not taking timely actions? Now again, see, what I've done is, till now I was thinking logically. For a moment, I used that what, why, how model. I thought about it. So I can think about, why are we not taking timely action? Timely action should be taken. Author said, I'm just thinking, why are we not taking? There must be some reason we are not taking. Maybe we are lazy. Maybe we are ignorant. Right? Anything could be there. Or I can think about few more other dimensions. This is one part. Now I've discussed. Now I will talk about the solution part. What should be done to ensure timely actions? Okay, what should be done so that I take these timely actions? Maybe I need some discipline, right? Maybe I need to manage things better. All these things you can think about. Now, even with this much part, you can write entire essay. But to bring in an additional dimension, now, one way I always suggest, go with what writer is saying, think about that part, everything. Once everything is done, now come up with antithesis. Go against the writer. It's not necessary that you have to write a lot, it's up to you. But at least think about that dimension. That no, Mr. Writer, you're wrong. The time to repair the roof is not when the sun is shining. Sometimes you can't take timely action. I can think about the COVID-19 pandemic. I can think about war. Can you already prepare? You didn't expect the war to start. You didn't expect COVID-19 pandemic to come. So as far as the human life is concerned, sometimes the life becomes very unpredictable. Some events will be very much unpredictable. And those are the situations wherein you might not get that time to repair the roof exactly when the sun was shining. So somewhere you have also talked about that antithesis, other side of the coin. Okay. So this builds your content, the macro dimensions to cover up or to write down a really good essay, entire essay theme properly. Okay. Now, a few more things which I can just discuss in brief. Using more examples and less arguments, that's a problematic stuff which many students are doing. What they do is, because when we thought about something, let's say in this particular case, and I have to think about this grave consequences of the inaction. Okay, what will happen if I don't take action on time when I'm thinking about it? What students do, they focus on example. If you have just one argument, and for that argument to substantiate it, if you're giving me 10 examples, what will I do? You told me that if you don't do this, this will happen. For this, you gave me example of Sachin Tendulkar or someone. Okay, na. You gave me one example, I understood. Why do you want to give me 10 examples? Listen, Shah Rukh Khan, listen, even Ratan Tata this happened, even Sachin Tendulkar this happened. You're giving me 10 examples, I don't need it. I don't need it. 1 or 2 examples more than enough. As soon as the reader understands your argument, leave it. Don't strategize just because when you were thinking you got so many examples. That doesn't mean you have to vomit it over there. Okay, be very calculative in such parts. So don't use more examples, rather use more arguments. Arguments should be more, the examples should be just to substantiate it. Okay, that balance should be there. Then just discussing both sides but not giving any concrete end. This is, I have personally observed with many students. Their essay doesn't end. There is no end in their essay. And when I say, they're not giving their perspective, what they think about it. They've just described, this is the side, this is bad side, this is good side, this, end. Bro, what about your thoughts? You are supposed to convince me. I have read this entire essay so that you will convince me. I want to get influenced with you. You influence me, I'm giving you that option. Don't leave that option. Give me something at the end. I have to go home after reading your essay, but I should remember the message that you have given with, because I read your entire essay, 1200 words. After that, at least 2-4 points, those should be there in my mind. That is your conclusion. So don't just discuss sides, give some concrete end to your essay. Okay, that end is your own personal opinion, or maybe after all this discussion, whatever conclusion you are building, it's not your personal opinion, but the logical conclusion that you are building. That conclusion, that should be there. Or you tell me something optimistic that we all should do this. When you say we, the reader also comes in, you also come in, other people are also part of it. Okay, so that's how you can show. For example, something related to climate change and all, you can say a collective action is needed. Okay, that's a good way. Then narrow interpretation of topic. Don't do narrow interpretation of topic. I talked about the interpretation part already, and because I'll talk about the interpretation, how I'll be doing. For example, in this case, we have done a good interpretation, right? Using the same keywords, we have tried to interpret it. So being narrow means you are just looking at what has been written over here. You're not openly, liberally interpreting it. That's not a good way. Be liberal. Be very open-minded. Whatever you can think about this dimension, think. No issues. Rather, that is what is needed. Being so creative, being innovative, that's needed over here. Okay. Then irrelevant content like quotes. Now this is a problem. This is a problem with many students. Just because they have already prepared some quotes, some anecdotes, which I've shown you in the slides. They prepared. And now because they have prepared, now they want to put it in the essay. Please check, are you getting that flow? I'll show you one copy where the student has mentioned one particular quote. Now you tell me whether it is suitable or not. Imagination is more important than knowledge. This is the quote, this is the theme. Imagination is more important than knowledge. Okay. Now this student started with, knowledge can take you from A to B. Imagination can take you from A to B, C, D, 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 Z. Okay, A to Z, said by Albert Einstein. Now tell me, are these related? Yes or no? Simple. Are these related? Is it relevant here? Yes or no? Means whatever the essay quote is saying, is it matching with it, that too in a very natural way? Yes. That's what I'm trying to say. Others, many students, what they will do, just because they have mugged up something, they will put it over here only because it is somewhat related to it. I'm saying it's not just about somewhat related to it. The theme, does it match with that theme? If it matches with the theme in your natural, now to understand whether it matches or not, read the entire part. Knowledge can take you from A to B. Imagination can take you from A to Z, said by Albert Einstein. The above mentioned quote by scientific genius Albert Einstein, the importance of imagination in one's life. It is often said that imagination gives rise to innovation, as it allows us the freedom to think out of box and perceive and acknowledge different interpretations. Okay, there's some spelling mistake, no issues. Now tell me, don't you think this person used this quote very rightly and continued the same thing? The student has talked about the same quote, and the same quote is saying the same thing which the writer was saying in the quote. Okay, now I will call this is one of the smartest way. In case you did not have this quote, in case I assume, let's say you don't have the quote, you don't remember, maybe you didn't have any idea about this topic. Don't write it. Don't write it. You can at least write this part. You can at least write this part. And why I'm calling it a smart way? Because one more mistake many students do is they convey their understanding bit late. That's one problem. You see, let's say one essay topic is given. Now you decided I'll write a good story, narrate it, and I'll bring it to this. Means to reach to this statement, I will write 2-3 pages. Now, as far as essay writing is concerned, let's say you started talking about imagination, knowledge, as likewise, and after 2-3 pages, you reach to this part, that imagination is better than knowledge. This part, you reach that stage. Okay. Now, if you ask me, as far as essay writing is concerned, is it a good thing? Yes, it is. There's no problem. As far as there is a flow, it's a good thing. But if you ask me, is it a smart way when it comes to UPSC exam? Is it the smartest way? I'll say the smartest way would be in the first paragraph or on the first page. I'm saying either in the first paragraph which you are writing or on the first page. Show this reader that I have understood the theme. Because see, the one who is evaluating your paper, what is his criteria? The first criteria, if you think about it, there will be multiple criteria. He'll check the flow, expression of ideas, exact expression, all these things. First thing what he will check? First thing he will check is interpretation, or rather what I call it as the comprehension. Have you understood or not? Have you understood the writer's meaning or not? Or do you have that comprehension skill or not? Getting the point? First parameter that will be in his mind is this one. So the smart way would be to convey the reader that I have understood what the author is trying to say in the first page or in the first paragraph. This person has done this thing very well. First of all, in this first quote only, this person has very clearly shown that I have understood your essay topic. But I am assuming even if you have not written this part, still on this page with this one paragraph, the person has shown it. Getting my point? So this is one smart way I suggest personally. Okay. Now, so one thing, don't write irrelevant content if it doesn't match with the natural flow. Okay. As far as possible, use quotes at the conclusion. They set really well. I'm not saying don't use it in the beginning, but they can be set in a really good manner in the conclusion. Then, undue weightage. Now, this is one problem with many students. If one theme involves two terms or comparison between two things, relation between two things, they talk about one thing more. Let's say there is this topic called, where is it? Visionary decision making happens at the intersection of intuition and logic. Now, because you like logic, you write more about logic and very less about intuition. There is a possibility. Or you write more about intuition and less about logic. I'm saying balance. Show some balance. When you are anyway taking a conclusion which is about balance, then why are you not showing that? Or let's say sometimes because of optional also this thing happens. For example, let's say this is one topic. Rights and responsibilities go hand in hand. This is your topic. Rights and responsibilities. Now there is a chance, because this person belongs to an optional wherein he has studied about rights, or maybe he is way more interested in rights, he studied in polity also. So you start discussing about rights in detail, in depth, and when it comes to responsibility, you have hardly written 2 paragraphs. Now that's not the right way. You have given undue weightage to one section of the essay. That is not needed, that is not supposed to be done. Okay, give the weightage which is needed rightly in a rightful manner. Then one more error most of the people are doing. They're coming up with the abrupt conclusion. They've written the entire essay, but because they have mugged up few quotations, few poetries, now they want to fit it in the conclusion and they don't know how to fit it. So what they do is abruptly they'll just put it. They've written so much and at last they're just putting one line. And there is no link between whatever they were talking and what they have mentioned at the end. So don't be abrupt. And see, for this actually you need practice. There is no way, nobody can teach you this. With practice only you will understand how in flow you can bring in those quotations, and if it doesn't set, don't come up with that quote. It's not like if you have written quotes only then you will get good marks in essay. Nothing like that. I'm telling you, even if you don't write any single quote in the essay, still you can score really high, only if it is interesting to read. Only if there is flow, it is structured, well structured. Fine? So, no abrupt conclusions and focus on this logical flow. Getting my point? Yeah. This example is there, I could discuss this part. So, this was about narrow interpretation. Hands that rock the cradle rules the world. Now, we can discuss this topic later on, but just for now understand, most of the students, they interpreted this part as they are talking about women. Hands that rock the cradle. So, they interpreted as women only. But if you are broadly interpreting this theme, you can go beyond this dimension. You can think about teachers, mentors. They also rock the cradle to some extent. Okay, so you can bring in that dimension. Okay, any doubt? Please ask if you have any doubt. Okay, we have some essays we'll discuss tomorrow because we don't have enough time right now with us. Yeah, please ask any doubts if you have, because more or less I've tried to give you the insights about what is supposed to be done and what is not supposed to be done in the essay, the approach part, intro, body, conclusion, all these things. Practically we will be doing those things in the later means the lectures that we will be conducting. So we'll understand. So I personally feel that when I discuss essays, then automatically your understanding about all these things gets developed to some extent, and when you practice on your own, that gets developed way better. Okay, so input from my side, output from your side, both things are needed. Okay. Now please ask if you have any doubt. Rest we will manage tomorrow. No doubt? Anything about essay? How many essays have you written till now? Till now? Or not a single one? Three before prelims. Okay. I don't think 3 are sufficient as such. Write at least how many I'll suggest if you're giving a test series, 2 essays in one, at least write 4 or 5 such tests, 10 essays, try to write. Okay, when you write, and do one thing, one very clear cut suggestion. When you're giving this test series or you're practicing here, okay, highest score was 58 only, don't worry, that will increase, don't worry. You will learn many things and that will improve. Now one point I want to convey, when you're attempting your test series, in that don't attempt those easy essay themes, attempt the difficult ones. Try once try to go for those easier ones also, but try to attempt those difficult ones too. Why? Because we don't know what will be there in the final examination. When you attempt those difficult essays now, this is also your time to repair the roof, right? So when you attempt, that fear in your mind, that fear will go away. After some time, when you'll be writing 10, 12, 13, 14 essays, you'll be very comfortable with essays. Even if there is something which you have no thought, no idea about. You know, that first slide when I discussed about thinking and all. If I go back, this one. Just assume you have no idea about this part. Thinking is like a game. It does not begin unless there is an opposite team. Even if you like to write down this, I am saying write on this. At least in the test series part. This is the time you can make as many mistakes as you want to. Spend as much time as you want to on this part. Okay. And what should be focus, main part is the brainstorming. Now this is a practical advice. Those who do not have enough time to give more tests of essay and all, do one thing. Give few tests. That's up to you how many you can manage to give. But rest, you do one thing, do the brainstorming. How you have to do it? Take any quote, okay, and do the brainstorming exercise, which will take hardly 20 minutes. Okay. Just by doing this brainstorming, automatically you will learn this art, and that will be very much useful in the final examination. Even if not the same topic has not been repeated, even if in that case, because you have learned to do this brainstorming, within less time span, you will learn to gain as many, let's say the quotes, arguments, as many things. You will learn that part. You will learn to deconstruct quotes, all these things that will start happening in you. So for that exercise, I suggest, if you don't have, this is a suggestion for those, if you do not have enough time to write all the essays, at least do the brainstorming at home. Okay. So that you will learn about all these things. And to learn structuring, to learn all these things, you have to write down. Now in the next lectures, I'll discuss some essays directly. What all content can be written, how it can be started, how it can be, concluded. That all part I'll discuss. So you'll understand. You'll understand it better. But do these exercises. Okay. Yeah. Any more doubt? Apart from this, any doubt? Yeah, one more doubt, please ask. Apart from test series, if I'm writing the essay, then how to check whether I'm interpreting it rightly or not? Do one thing. Right now when the classes are going on, you can ask me directly. Okay. Or I think by the time we will complete these classes, you will have decent idea about the interpretation. Okay, don't worry about it whether you are interpreting it rightly or not. You have this issue with the confidence. It's not your problem, it's the problem with almost every student I have observed. When you have this thought, that fear in your mind, and you write the essay, because of that fear, you will write the essay in a bad manner, and that fear is very much reflecting, it gets reflected very clearly in your essay. When I evaluate, when I check the essay, I can understand that part, that this person is writing with some fear in his mind. The confidence is not reflecting. So I suggest personally, whatever you are interpreting, it's correct. Don't worry about it. It's right. Just follow the process. When you're interpreting, just follow that basic process wherein you're trying to decode it rightly. When I have done this, when I've shown you few examples wherein I have tried to understand the meaning in a very basic terms. I've used that keyword, I've tried to understand, imagine, and come up to that interpretation. Okay, and be open-minded. Don't think that if I interpret this way, that will be taken as wrong. As long as you're thinking in a logical manner, then it should not be a problem. Okay, so don't have this fear in your mind that maybe my interpretation is wrong. You don't need to worry, your interpretation is right. Means if I am interpreting on any of this theme, why would it be any problem? Let's say you're thinking about self-discovery has now been technologically outsourced. If you've understood it, done. Now, doesn't matter how you interpret it in a different way. Okay? Yeah. Any other doubt apart from this? Shed away that fear I'm telling you. Shed away, because that will clearly reflect on the paper. Okay, have this confidence that you've studied so much, you've done all these GS optional, you're taking these lectures also, and if you have practiced substantially, then just maintain that confidence that I am also an enlightened citizen. As compared to other citizens, I'm relatively more enlightened. So I'll say what I have to say confidently. Okay, done then. So that's all for today. We'll meet in the next session. Thank you so much for joining.